Welcome back. If you put like an open box of freshly glazed donuts directly on your desk right now, and you try to focus on your work, your brain will actually spend way more energy trying not to eat those donuts than it will on whatever you're typing.
Oh, absolutely. It's this exhausting, invisible tug of war.
Right. And usually when we talk about reaching a big goal or, making a massive life change, there's this cultural expectation of just pure, fiery motivation.
Right, like a movie montage.
Yes, exactly. You find your deep emotional reason for changing, the triumphant music swells, and you just push through all the obstacles.
It's a highly cinematic narrative, for sure. We just love the idea of the unstoppable human spirit, triumphing over its surroundings through sheer force of will.
We do, but I mean, it's a total myth.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because the reality is, it's a random Tuesday morning, the montage music is completely gone, and that unstoppable spirit is just staring blankly at a wall.
Completely paralyzed by the friction of actually doing the thing. Exactly. So today, our mission for this deep dive is to move past that abstract emotional motivation. We are focusing on episode 3, designing your daily architecture and environmental engineering.
It's a great topic.
It really is. We're looking at a fascinating stack of sources dissecting the science of behavioral design, heavily anchored by some incredibly sharp insights from author Jen Sincero.
Her work is just fantastic.
So good. We are going to figure out how to stop relying on motivation and start looking at the physical physics of how our surroundings dictate our actions.
Which is such a crucial, pragmatic shift in perspective.
Right.
Because, I mean, motivation happens in the mind, but behavior happens in the physical space you occupy.
Right.
If we don't understand the physical mechanics of the environment we sit in every day, we are essentially fighting a war with our eyes closed.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Jen Sincero highlights what she calls a brutal truth, and it just shatters that movie montage myth entirely.
It really does.
The reality our sources point out is that you cannot consistently beat an environment that is designed against your new habits using raw willpower alone.
No, you can't.
It's not just difficult, it is structurally fundamentally flawed to even try.
But we place so much cultural value on raw discipline, right?
Yeah.
We tell ourselves, well, if I just try harder, if I just want it more, I can resist.
Yeah, the old pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality.
Exactly. But relying on raw willpower, when your physical surroundings are pushing you in the opposite direction, I mean, it's a losing game of biological mathematics.
Which brings us back to those donuts. The notes we're looking at use this perfectly agonizing example.
Oh, the diet example?
Yes. Imagine trying to eat healthy, like trying to stick to a new diet while keeping that open box of fresh donuts sitting right on your desk.
Just staring at you.
People will sit there staring at the glaze and think, this is a test of my willpower. If I am strong, I will resist. But Sincero makes it explicitly clear this isn't a test of willpower at all.
No, not at all.
It's just unnecessary self-sabotage. I mean, relying on willpower with a box of donuts under your nose is like standing in a rainstorm with no umbrella and trying to will yourself dry.
Yeah.
Isn't that just unnecessary self-sabotage?
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating here is how deeply that self-sabotage is rooted in our biology.
Right.
When we talk about why trying to outwill your environment is so damaging, we really have to look at a fundamental rule of human behavior.
Okay.
The human brain naturally, relentlessly follows the path of least resistance. It is biologically hardwired to conserve energy.
So it's not a moral failing that I eventually eat the donut.
Not at all.
It's not that I'm inherently weak or lack character. It's literally just my brain trying to be an efficient machine.
Precisely. We have to look at this from an evolutionary standpoint. For 99% of human history, calories were scarce,
Right.
Conserving energy was a survival imperative. So your brain is not broken, it is functioning exactly as it was designed to.
That is strangely comforting.
Right. We often think bad habits stick because we lack discipline, but they stick so easily because they were entirely frictionless.
Wow. Frictionless.
Yeah. Your brain looks at the environment, sees the open box of donuts, which requires absolutely zero effort to reach,
Yeah.
and offers this immediate, massive caloric reward. And its ancient survival wiring just says, well, why would I do anything else?
Right. The path to the donut is frictionless. But the path to the healthy salad in the fridge requires getting up, washing vegetables, chopping, waiting.
Exactly. It's full of friction.
It's basic physics. Water flows downhill. Our behavior flows toward whatever is easiest in the room.
Yep.
We are basically dealing with architectural gravity. And now that we understand the brain is actively, constantly seeking out that path of least resistance, We really have to look at how our absolute worst habits completely exploit this exact mechanism.
No, they definitely do.
Which brings us to the ultimate friction-free trap we all deal with, the smartphone.
Ah, yes, the pocket-sized dopamine dispenser. It is the modern equivalent of the donut on the desk, but arguably much more insidious because it targets our neurochemistry so precisely.
Yeah, if we look at the mechanics of it, just think about where your phone is right now as you listen to this. It's probably right next to you.
Maybe even in your hand.
Exactly. The barrier to entry is practically non-existent. It requires exactly one tap to get an instant hit of dopamine.
And that dopamine isn't just about reward, it's about anticipation. It's the neurological craving chemical.
Wow.
And the tech companies designing these interfaces, they understand the path of least resistance perfectly. They have spent billions of dollars engineering all the friction out of the experience.
Oh, for sure. Every swipe, every notification, it's all designed to be as biologically effortless as possible.
Exactly. And this is where we synthesize the primary insight of all our source material today regarding environmental engineering.
Okay, lay it on me.
The secret to behavioral design isn't hyping yourself up in the mirror. It's
Yeah.
manipulating that friction.
Right.
If the brain inevitably wants the path of least resistance, you have to engineer your physical space so that the good habits actually become the path of least resistance.
So we have to change the terrain.
Yes, we must drastically increase the friction for undesirable habits and aggressively reduce the friction for new, badass habits until it hits near zero.
Okay, wait, I need to push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
If the goal is just adding fiction and I want to stop checking my phone every 3 minutes while I'm trying to focus on work, why isn't simply putting the phone face down on my desk enough friction?
It seems like it should be, right?
I mean, yeah. I still have to break my visual focus, reach out, physically pick it up, flip it over to see the screen. That's fiction, isn't it?
It's a logical assumption, but Jen Sincero's research draws a hard line here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, face down on the desk simply doesn't cut it. The source material is remarkably strict about this. To actually break the loop, you must take the phone to another room and put it inside a closed drawer.
Okay, taking it to another room entirely and putting it in a drawer feels like overkill. Like, it feels highly inconvenient.
Well, it's supposed to be inconvenient.
Fair point.
It feels extreme until you understand the underlying neurology of what's happening when you reach for that phone.
Okay, break that down for me.
When the phone is sitting on your desk, even face down, it is firmly in your immediate environment. Reaching for it is governed by the basal ganglia.
Right, that's the habit center. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the part of your brain responsible for habit formation and automatic behaviors. You are quite literally on autopilot. You reach for it before you even consciously realize you've made a decision.
Oh man, that makes total sense. It's a proximity issue. The habit loop fires faster than conscious thought, so distance is essentially a speed bump for the brain.
Exactly. By putting the phone in a drawer in another room, you are forcing yourself to stand up, walk down the hall, open a physical drawer, and pick it up.
That's a lot of steps.
It is. And the notes highlight something crucial about what happens in that gap. Those extra 3 seconds of walking provide the exact neurological window of time needed for your prefrontal cortex to step in.
The prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, the conscious, rational, decision-making part of your brain. It steps in to override the basal ganglia.
Oh, wow. So it buys you 3 seconds of awareness.
It does. You interrupt the automatic sequence.
Yeah.
You give your rational brain just enough time to wake up, look at what you're doing, and say, wait, why are we walking down the hall right now? We are supposed to be working.
Right. You give yourself the actual physiological chance to stop the behavior before it fully executes.
Precisely.
So if you're listening to this in your home office right now, or even just, sitting on your couch, just look around the room for a second.
Take an inventory.
Whatever is closest to your hand is exactly what you're going to do when you get tired or stressed. If it's a phone, you'll scroll. If it's a pen, you'll write. The environment is actively making the choice for you.
And this raises an important question about how we reclaim agency over our space. We have to turn this theoretical knowledge of friction into architectural reality.
Right, so let's break down how Sincero suggests we do that. The first phase of this environmental engineering is actively adding friction to the things that derail us.
Like the phone.
Exactly, we just talked about the phone. If your trigger is the phone sitting on the couch cushion while you're trying to read, you have to design a physical barrier.
Yes.
You have to decide right now which drawer in which other room that phone is going to live in when you need to focus. You are actively building a dam to stop the water from flowing downhill.
You are intentionally breaking the automatic loop. But of course, stopping the bad habit is really only half the equation.
Right.
Nature abhors a vacuum. If you just lock your phone away, your brain is still going to be looking for an easy win, an easy hit of dopamine.
So how do we make the good habit the easiest win in the room?
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because you aren't just taking things away from your space, you have to plant seeds for the good things.
The removal of friction.
Exactly. The source text gives this brilliant, highly specific example for morning reading.
Yeah.
Let's say your goal is that you want to read more books in the morning instead of immediately scrolling the news.
A great goal.
The text says, don't just plan to read. Planning isn't architecture. Planning is just wishing.
Oof. True.
Instead, leave the book open on your desk the night before with a pen resting right on top of it.
It's such a beautifully subtle adjustment, but the psychological impact on the brain is massive.
Oh, it really is.
Right. Because think about the difference in the friction gradient. If the
Right.
book is just sitting closed on a shelf across the room, you have to wake up, fight the grogginess, remember that you made a goal to read, scan the shelf, decide which book to pull down.
Walk over there, pull it out, open it, find your page.
Exactly. Every single one of those steps is a micro decision. And for a tired brain at 7 a.m., that is an absolute mountain of friction.
But if the book is already open on the desk with the pen on it,
Then you've completely altered the path of least resistance. You've removed every single micro decision from the process.
yes. When you walk into that room, the physical space is actually prompting you to act. It's actively inviting you in.
Right.
The environment is now functioning as a tool that works for you, rather than an obstacle you have to overcome. You've engineered the space so that falling into the good habit is actually physically easier than avoiding it.
You are literally stumbling into your own success.
Exactly.
It's like setting out your running shoes right next to your bed so you physically trip over them when you wake up.
Right.
You've greased the wheels so thoroughly that not doing it feels weird.
Right.
But okay, I want to raise a very real problem here because I think anyone who has tried to build a habit knows this exact feeling of despair.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Right. What if you do all of this perfectly? You engineer the environment, you lock the phone in the drawer down the hall, you leave the book open on the desk. The pen is perfectly aligned.
An architectural masterpiece of habit design.
Yes. But you sit down, look at the open book, and your mind still completely freezes. You just feel that heavy, stubborn, overwhelming sense of, I really, really do not want to do this right now.
It is a devastating moment when that happens.
Yeah.
Because the physical friction is entirely gone, but the internal mental friction is suddenly screaming at you louder than ever.
Exactly. You're sitting there at the desk, the book is right in front of you, zero physical friction, but you still feel paralyzed.
Yeah.
And our sources have a specific, fascinating protocol for navigating this exact moment of paralysis. It introduces something called the 2-minute rule.
A classic.
Yeah. Sincero's notes suggest that if your mind actively resists the new habit, even when the environment is perfectly engineered, you must scale the habit down so small that your brain literally cannot say no to it.
You have to bypass the brain's internal alarm system.
Right.
When you look at a book and think, I have to read a whole chapter, or you look at your running shoes and think, I have to go run 3 miles, the brain registers that as a massive expenditure of energy.
And the alarm goes off.
Exactly. The alarm goes off and the paralysis sets in.
Yes. The text gives incredibly concrete examples of how to bypass this. Let's stick with the running example. You want to start running, but you just can't get out the door.
Right.
The 2-minute rule says your only goal, your only definition of success for that day is to put on your running shoes for just 2 minutes. That's it.
Just putting it on.
You can literally put them on, sit on the couch for 2 minutes, and take them off. Or, back to our book example, if staring at the open book feels like too much work, your absolute only goal is to read one single sentence.
You shrink the demand until the mental friction is mathematically zero.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the profound philosophy of behavioral design really shines through.
How so?
Culturally, we naturally assume that if we only run for 2 minutes or if we only read one single sentence, we've failed.
Right, it doesn't count.
We think it doesn't count because it wasn't a full, exhausting workout or a whole dense chapter. We view it as a waste of time. But the source material emphasizes the exact opposite takeaway.
But the initial goal is not perfection. The initial goal is simply showing up and establishing the neural pathway.
So it's just crossing the starting line. It's proving to your brain that the action is safe and easy.
Precisely. Because the text notes that every single time you show up, even if it is literally just for 2 minutes, you are, and this is a brilliant phrase, casting a vote for your new identity.
Casting a vote for your new identity. Wow.
Yeah.
That reframing completely changes the stakes.
Yeah.
Because usually we feel like every habit is this pass or fail test of our character.
Exactly.
But when you reframe it from, I have to execute this perfectly today, to, I just need to cast one single vote today, it takes all the heavy weight off your shoulders.
It really does.
You aren't trying to prove you are suddenly an Olympic marathon runner. You're simply casting a tiny vote that says, I'm the type of person who puts on my running shoes. You are building evidence for a new identity.
Is that liberation you're describing, that feeling of taking the weight off?
Yeah, that is the ultimate friction reducer. Perfectionism is one of the most massive sources of mental friction we experience.
No, absolutely.
When you demand a flawless, high-energy performance from yourself every single time you try a new habit, your brain looks at that huge expectation and says, nope, that's too hard. We don't have the energy for that. Let's go eat a donut.
Right, back to the donut.
Always back to the donut. But by removing the pressure of perfection, you remove the very last barrier. You make showing up the absolute easiest option available.
You make showing up the path of least resistance.
Exactly. You are stacking the deck in your own favor on both a physical and a psychological level. You've aligned your physical space and your internal expectations to work with your biology rather than against it.
So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've covered a lot of ground today, from the evolutionary biology of donuts to hiding phones in drawers. But all of this theory means absolutely nothing without application.
Right, you have to do it.
Our sources leave us with a very specific mandate. And this is going to be your challenge for the week, drawn straight from Sincero's methodology.
I love a challenge.
Your challenge today is to make one small physical tweak to your surroundings. Just one. Look at the space you spend the most time in. Make a new habit clearly visible and completely in plain sight. And make an old, bad habit significantly harder to reach.
It doesn't have to be an entire room redesign.
Yeah, not at all.
Move the book to the center of the desk. Move the phone to the drawer down the hall. Put the guitar on a stand in the middle of the living room instead of hiding it in its case in the closet.
Just one physical tweak. That is your single vote for today.
And it's important to note that while we've heavily focused on engineering the physical space today, the external architecture, the journey obviously doesn't end there.
Oh, definitely not.
The notes we are working from actually preview the next stage of this process. Once the physical environment is perfectly set and the friction is minimized, we still have to navigate the deeper internal landscape. So in our next deep dive, we will be pivoting from the physical to the mental, tackling that internal resistance, the deep-seated self-doubt, and the incredibly clever little excuses our minds create mid-journey to try and throw us off track.
Because the brain is a brilliant negotiator, and it will always try to talk you out of expending energy.
It will try its hardest.
But until then, your job is to build a physical space where those mental negotiations don't even matter, because doing the right thing is just easier.
Exactly. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you look around your space today, building directly on the source's closing mandate to be the smart architect of your environment.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've established that human behavior always, inevitably, follows the path of least resistance. So take a hard, objective look at the room you are in right now. Just observe it like an outsider. What specific behavior is that room perfectly designed to produce? If someone else walked into your space, what would be the absolute easiest thing for them to do? Because whether you realize it or not, you are already an architect. The environment you are sitting in is actively building a life. The only real question is, whose life are you building?
That is the question, isn't it? Because tomorrow morning, you are going to wake up. And that cinematic movie montage music isn't going to be playing.
Sadly, no.
It's just going to be you, your room, and the friction. But this time, because you are the architect, you actually get to decide exactly which way the water flows. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into environmental engineering. We'll see you next time.